Friday. It is Pick-a-Palooza. What was the name? You had a good name the other day. I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember, man. We just throw them out there and it works.
You had a good name. But
Gambletron. No, I forget. You'll have to look back through the archives. RonMikeRichards.com, by the way. You can look back on all our shows.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Which is what people do, because sometimes I go back and I see these numbers that were not as big when it started, but then I started to think about it. One of the reasons we did this was for accessibility, and one of the things that happens in people's lives is you rarely watch sometimes things live. I mean, how many of the TV shows do you watch when they're actually on? I don't know many people do that. If you're watching Gotham or Walking Dead or Game of Thrones or whatever it is.
Rarely.
Yeah, you wait till you've got time. And the thing with this show, we do it 5 days a week. You fall a little bit behind. I know there are people who are like a couple of weeks behind. We were talking to Ryan, our buddy, the window washer. He goes, guys, I'm like 2 weeks back. You go on holidays. By the way, shout out to Real Tonelli.
That's right.
In the Bahamas. I think what was it called? Atlantis? There must be some sort of Kiss Army reunion or something. He is a huge Kiss fan. Maybe Gene's there in a bathing suit. That'd be nice to see.
That'd be great to see.
Oh, I don't know, Dave.
Paul Stanley on stage used to wear something similar to a bathing suit.
Yeah, Paul Stanley didn't care that much.
No.
But Gene, boy, sitting there making sandcastles as he's telling you.
You know, when I first started Kiss, the idea was...
Okay, Gene. By the way, Speedo, snake alert. Yeah. But we got lots of our picks. We've got Victor Newman, passionate picks. Oh, yeah. Good friend Jimmy Lang was saying, okay, just get to the passionate picks. Let's go. We got lots of picks to talk about today. Phil Gray, the senior lines manager. This is what I'm calling him now. The senior lines manager from Sports Interaction, who, of course, will be very busy for us today. And then, of course, on the weekend on the Rogers Sportsnet Radio Network, I suppose, then you're back at it again with our good buddy, Old Stephen Rapp.
Old Stephen Rapp. He's going to tell us stories about the AFL days.
Yeah. You know, Phil is Stiller, Stephen. No. And I know you're watching. Something will come in because he was doing shtick this morning. He was talking about Phil Gray because he was getting yelled at by George Russick, I guess, on the fans, saying, well, you're cheating on another show. I said, this is the show that is for cheating. George, just so you know, in every way imaginable, cheating is okay on this show. And then, Phil said something about action. Then Stephen says, hey, Phil, any action is good action. Huh? See, so he's at it again early.
He is at it.
He certainly is. But we'll have Russell Graham. He's doing his happy endings, and I'm sure YouTube, like they've been doing all the time, going through our underwear, putting all these not appropriate for some advertisers.
Wow,
they're just idiots. Kids playing mini sticks.
Not appropriate.
You wouldn't believe the stuff. The interview with Caroline Pierce. Why? And then they take it off. But it kind of messes up the site for a while. It's just sometimes this world, honestly, folks, in the digital, it's annoying, and the people who run it are annoying. So we try to get the stuff to you as we can. Also coming up today, we'll talk a little bit about the Leafs. I am sure. No Austin Matthews, doesn't matter, no problem.
Yeah, is that on the new schedule? No Matthews, no problem.
Yeah. Of course, Craig Venn today on 94.9 The Rock said, I wonder if they should trade him. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. It's a great point, though.
Yeah, really good point.
For headlines, if you don't want to make some waves, that'd do it.
Well, Howard Berger came out with a thing on trading Austin Matthews, too, right? That apparently there was a deal in the works for the Phoenix / Arizona Coyotes. It's a nice package that was going to come over. I'm just saying.
Like what? The whole team, a couple of golf courses.
No. Oliver
ownership of every building in Scottsdale. Like
I didn't get much into the detail of it, but essentially what it was. And Rusty Bear, you can pick up your mic and say yes or no to it. So it was going to be a package of.
So you're saying this is legit. This is legit, or just out of the mind of Howard?
I'm just saying this is what he wrote. I have nothing to do with this whatsoever.
Yeah. Don't yell at Dave.
Yeah. So it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson. It was Clayton Keller and a first-round pick. Now, the first-round pick is probably going to be 1, maybe 2 if they lose the lottery. But
it better be 1.
Yeah.
At least one.
Chances are it's going to be one. So do you do that deal? Rusty Bear. That Clayton Keller is pretty damn good. You get a nice defenseman. You finally get a defenseman that's like the comparable to, the Morgan Riley. Maybe he's even better than Morgan Riley in my opinion. So you get that one. You get Clayton Keller, and you get that first overall pick.
It's tough.
Yeah, look at him. See, it's not as easy.
It's tough.
It's not as easy to say. I'm not sure. Like, I think there's pretty good arguments that you could make on both sides of it. I think Maple Leaf fans love what they see in Austin Matthews, and I think if you really took a vote of like 10,000 Leaf fans, I think the keeping Matthews would edge it out. But those are some good players. Like, Clayton Keller is a very good player. He's not Austin Matthews great, but he's a very good player. He's going to win the Calder Trophy. Ekman Larson needs a scenery change. I think he's a very good defenseman. And the first overall pick was usually the best person in the draft. I'm just saying, it's not a heavy draft.
Yeah, depending on what the draft is.
I heard somewhere, I forget where I heard, but the first overall potential pick, Rasmus Dahlin, someone compared him to his effect on defense is going to be similar to Matthews and McDavid's effect on forward.
Wow.
So it would be a defenseman.
It'd be tempting if I knew
You'd
Arizona
really shore up
had
that
the first
defense.
overall pick.
Because what would happen is
what would happen to roast beef if that happens if Austin Matthews leaves?
Well, he's still good friends with Mitch Marner, so I mean, he loses a friend, he gains a friend, right? I mean, maybe his brother in Sweden hooks him up with the new guy that's coming. I don't know. I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at it.
Yeah. I'm smelling suicide. Yeah, I didn't know.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah. He's floating face down in the pool. Trust me. Yeah.
He's wearing his trusty Leaf sweater today, too.
Yeah, that's nice. Where's that from, by the way? Is that is Kmart still around? Or? Okay, I'll stop it. I'm just it's like the Big Bang Theory. Have you ever seen a show that really doesn't have a lot of funny lines or something by Charlie Sheen, and then it's just like.
Okay, let's imitate it. Get ready with a laugh track.
Okay, hold on. It's going to be a little tougher.
I'll give you a nice punchline.
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Charlie, I didn't think you were supposed to be home today.
What are you doing here?
Well, the last time I saw you at home, you were with Mom.
Which mom?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, see, it's terrible.
And that was it's a tie between one of those shows and what we just did, and we were shit. I'm pretty sure Dave's been drinking.
Complete.
So yeah. So last night the Leafs, I think if you're probably the head coach, he's probably happy after that performance.
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know.
You know what? It's good to talk to him early in the morning because the guys are probably going to be skating out there, and it's you grab them before you go on the ice. So let's bring them in exclusively to rawmike.richards.com. We welcome Mike Babcock to the podium. Mike. Yesterday, 1-0. You get the job done. Fred Anderson looked pretty good, and you know what? You guys are rolling without the big man.
Well, it kind of goes like this, Davey. You get a team together, you get a group of young kids like that, and your captain goes down, and so guys have to give her. They got to step it up, and guys like Freddie, I'll be honest, I thought he's been pretty weak over the last couple of Anders Suck. We talked about.
That's true.
He said there are the things I can do. I said, yeah, how about stopping a fucking puck every once in a while? And he done that last night, and I thought he made a account of himself. I also think Willie done a good job putting the puck in the net. That's what he's supposed to do. That's you're paid as a professional to be a good player, and that's what he done, Dave.
So let me ask you this, Coach: when Anderson is having a bad game in your world level of coaching, because you've coached at the NHL level, the junior levels, the international levels,
the Olympics,
Olympics as well, the World Cup. Sorry, I got to get that all in there. That's right. Do you ever pull him aside and actually call him Andersuck to kind of get him on, back on his game?
I started calling him. Little Johnny Poo Pants.
Oh.
Little Johnny Poo Pants. Johnny gonna cry. Johnny gonna stop a puck.
Oh.
See the black thing? You're supposed to stop that. You idiot. Stop being so shit. I'll say it like that. And actually, I made him come to the game last night on a streetcar.
Oh.
Yeah, with all the losers and undesirables. And,
There's a lot of losers on the streetcar, I'll tell you that.
yeah, and they messed up King Street too.
Oh.
You don't take cars, which is a big part of what you do in a city.
Thank you.
And John Tory, he must have had some sort of idea, but I think he's an idiot. That's why I think you should vote for Doug Ford.
I think you're right. So let me ask you this final question, and thanks for joining us before practice today, Coach. If Doug Ford decides for some reason not to run, which I hope he doesn't, because we do like him, he's a friend of the show.
He's a good guy. Good guy.
Are you interested in maybe running for mayor?
No, Davey. That's something you leave to guys who care about other people and care about the city, and I could give a shit about. I just need to win games, Dave. Just win, baby. That's what I say. I always say that.
Well, good luck in Montreal. Thanks for joining us today.
Why? What's going on in Montreal?
The strip clubs.
That's right.
Yeah, strip clubs and hockey.
I like big hammers.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Thanks, Stevie. You've done a good job.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Mike Babcock, exclusive you heard on Raw Mike Richards and nowhere else.
Yeah.
Check it out. I dare you. I dare you to find Mike Babcock anywhere else than right here.
Speaking of Leaf fans, this was kind of fun last night. So there has been a recent reappearance of the character called Leafheart, based on Braveheart. So the picture will go out on my Twitter account. If you're not following me, please do it. It's at Raw Mike Richards. And if you're watching the program right now, and I hope you are on the dedicated YouTube channel or our website, here's a picture of Braveheart. So Braveheart goes out there, and his record, I think he's only lost one game, and I think the game that Braveheart lost was the previous game at home to New Jersey. New Jersey comes in and beats them. That was the game I think that actually Braveheart lost. But he won last night. He said, take the Leafs. And so as this Braveheart thing goes out there, it's a guy jumps in there, a really great guy. Actually, it was kind of funny on Twitter last night. Dart guy got involved, a bunch of guys. And this is a guy named Julian. So Julian from Toronto sends in this picture and says,
did he have a rum and coke in his hand and ice cubes?
No, he didn't. No, but that's another good Julian.
Okay.
But this guy was great last night, and he said, geez, I get featured on, I don't know where it was, Instagram or something last week, and then Richard starts doing it, and then I said, sorry, Julian, this was like 4 years ago when the picture was taken when actually TSN 1050 had ratings and real shifts.
That was a while ago.
That's a long time ago.
Oh, Stephen Rapp could tell you about that.
Yes, he could. And, of course, looking back at some of the magic, this was kind of fun, actually. This was the appearance of Braveheart. It was when, actually, Toronto was going down to play Boston, which has ended up being the nightmare series of all time in that Game 7. But when you want to talk about the emotion of what Braveheart was, Julian, if you missed it, this is how it was.
By the way, Dave, I love you. Always have.
Thanks, Mike.
Once again, Dave, I love you.
What about me?
Always have. Shut up, you.
Thanks, Mike.
Wow.
I'm not a chubby chaser. By the way, Dave, I love you.
Thanks, Mike.
Always have. Hi, Dave.
Yes.
I love you.
Thanks, Mike.
Always have.
What about me?
Nay.
What?
I've only got so much food for a couple of months.
Really good point, Leafheart.
I'm wearing black today.
Good point, Leafheart.
It's very slimming.
Thank you.
Like Ann Wilson from Heart.
There it is, back in the day. Back in the day. Julian, that's for you. And we'll get you on the show. You're not that far away. And you love metal, so you're on the show.
Okay.
And
Is he coming in costume?
I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was gonna say
because he wears the kilt and everything.
I was
Everything
going
going
to say,
on.
it's not the same if he doesn't wear the outfit. So
It's open for you. Julian, let me know. Also, by the way, I sent him Nervecast because that's the name of our boys. It used to be Laugh at the Fakes, and they've got some gigs around the city. So if you see Nervecast, you recognize the music, it's because they do all our stuff. So I want to get more of their stuff on, and if their record company would or label would stop gooning us when we play their own video, I'm pretty sure they want us to do that, just so you know. That whole promotional thing, that's a good thing. Phil Gray at the bottom of the hour, senior lines manager for Sports Interaction. And if you haven't done it, Dave just explain how this works. If you're fans of Raw Mike Richards, then there's money just waiting for you.
It is. It's a great gift. And you know what? Also, considering that we're nearing the end of November, Christmas is around the corner, and people do hand these things out as gifts, so I definitely recommend it. So what you do is you log on to sportsinteraction.com. When you sign up, there's a short one-page Dropbox menu where they ask you who the heck you are. Basically, it's not anything scientific or anything like that. And at the very bottom, there's a final Dropbox that says, "Where did you hear about us?" So you click on it. It gives you a couple different options. If you click on Raw Mike Richards, it's actually one of the selections, one of the options you have. You guarantee the $200 bonus. So it's a 100% bonus up to $200. So basically, the most you can get out of it is $200, which is pretty awesome, to tell you the honest truth. You deposit $200, you get $200. Your account, $400. You want $100, you only have $100 in your pocket. Sign up, you get another $100. The best value is signing up with $200 and you double your funds right off the bat. We're nearing into the Christmas season where the playoffs are actually going to be determined in the NFL. Hockey season's well underway, so you're knowing some of the trends. Basketball's getting closer and closer, and of course, there's still some international soccer that you like to delve in.
Yeah.
NCAA, they do anything. When you actually look on the site, you can bet on handball. You could bet on lacrosse in Europe. You could bet on track and field events, boxing, MMA, NFL. You could, if you're interested, and I know a lot of our Greek friends are out there, you could actually go put a wager on Olympiacos in basketball, Olympiacos in soccer, anything like that. Second division Italian soccer, they got that too.
Yeah.
Anything that is bettable, sportsinteraction.com. Make the most of the bonus because you watched it right here on Ron Mike Richards.
Yeah, it's money waiting for you. It's your money, so take it. We'll talk to senior lines manager Phil Gray, Sasha's older brother, later on today, which I'm looking forward to that. As he stays. Why does he stay in shape? I haven't heard from her in a while. She was great on Entourage, by the way. Remember when she was on Entourage?
She was. Yeah,
she was
right.
really good in that.
Yeah, what is she doing lately?
I don't know, but I don't. I think she's out of the Poonies. I don't think she's doing that anymore.
I don't think she's doing that anymore either.
I think she made a ton of money, and I think she's actually doing, kind of these artistic. I guess it's like there was an art exhibit thing that she was doing over in Europe, and people were like, "Oh, great, porn star." Hey, leave the porn stars alone.
Yep.
They do a lot of stuff for society.
We should get Sasha Gray on this show.
Yeah, well, I think we tried earlier on, but maybe we'll try again.
It's tricky.
We just need people who know people.
Yeah, that's right. And we only know a certain amount of people.
Yeah.
So if people know people and want to know even more people, help us out.
Yeah.
We want to know people too.
Yeah, get a Sasha Gray. Sasha Gray, get her on the show. By the way, last night, National Football League, before we get to
By the way, shout out to Steven Rapp. He's been texting me this morning, and he says, let me just read this here really quick. Loves the show. Glad to be associated with Ron Mike Richards in the DKI Canada studio.
Ooh.
Maybe next week I'll come on by instead of my regular phone call. Enjoy Phil Gray today.
That is an appearance.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Steve's always been a great supporter of us.
Someone's going to get out of bed and make the drive. That's nice for a person to say that. Steve the Greek. Not really. Not really.
Not really.
Yeah, I still owe him a dinner. Yeah, you'll recognize red buttons. And Johnny Carson never got a dinner. See, this is what I'm saying. He reacts to this stuff. By the way, last night there should be sad. I don't have sad music, but Montreal Canadiens. Who'd you lose to? Bwah, 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 bwah.
I guess the Marlies weren't around to play them, or was that
Syllaboo.
Syllaboo? Exactly.
Yeah, but the other way around. So are we still mocking all those ideas about trading Carey Price? Because you know what? There was a time where I thought it was ridiculous. Now I'm looking at the amount of money they spend.
It's a great idea.
He's his age.
Yes.
And is he going to get better with this team anytime soon? I think maybe this is, you don't want to be stuck with the Vince Carter.
Yes, and to tell you honest truth, he almost ruins the best possible rebuild. Because if you put him in net and he steals you 4 or 5 games here and there, and then later on he goes on a hot tear, or, very Carey Price-like, whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're no longer picking 3rd overall, you're picking 9th.
Yeah.
Because
now
of-
you're nowheresville.
And that's the thing. He goes against everything that organization should be standing for, and that's what I don't understand. They sign him to a grossly long contract, which other teams, I'm just wondering what other team's going to sit there and go, we like the idea of an injury-riddled goaltender on a 10-year deal at maximum money.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I mean, they might have a hard time trading it, even if they were trading it. We're not saying that he's going to trade it,
No.
but I mean,
But I think if you're talking about the kind of rebuild, now I'm not saying, I mean, at least of the proportions that you saw MLSE do a couple of years ago, but if you stay in the middle and Carey plays just well enough to keep you in no man's land, what is the point? Because I don't see necessarily, like a lot of other guys, as they get older, getting that much better where you're going to get better return on it. Because now you're talking about, that's why I always look at athletes and in any sport when they start talking about moving them around. Now you can't, who was it? I think it might have been, was it Devellano? Someone got in trouble because he used the word cattle. Remember, he said, it's sort of like how you treat cattle. I was someone of, I don't think it was Jim Nill, but it was someone in there somewhere.
I don't remember, yeah.
But I always look at it like real estate, because real estate is either going trending up or trending down, and it's a timing thing. You're trying to find where you get the most for what you got. So even if you love your house, the best house you've ever had, if someone comes around and said, I'll give you $9 million for that house, I got news for you.
Sold.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same thing with athletes. How desperate is someone else to have, for instance, a Carey Price? Where do you think Carey Price is? People thought, well, would Carey Price be a fit in Toronto necessarily? But again, you start looking at age group and how much money, because that price tag is huge.
Huge. And yeah, and
with Freddie Anderson doing what he's doing, and look, there's still a lot of hockey to be played. And I'm still not calling him one of the world elites. But, these are the kinds of teams you're going to look and see where that fit is. And if you can get some young stuff coming the other way, because that's the only way it's going to work. It's draft picks.
That's exactly
It's all prospects. It's got to be that way.
If Carey Price goes somewhere, A, he goes to a contender. B, he probably gets shipped outside of the division. That's what my best guess would be. And C, that the boatload of inventory that comes back is probably 3 to 4 pieces. That's what I'd guess, in my opinion.
It has to be.
Like when we talked about, and we just joked about it, okay, so don't take it too serious. When we talked about the potential of an Austin Matthews getting 3 pieces back, I would put Carey Price in that same sort of category, where you better get a high draft pick, a hot shot prospect, a suitable forward defenseman, whatever position works for whatever team. And I'd almost go further. I'd ask for a role player or something else to take cash back, kind of thing, because you're enhancing your salary, you're enhancing your club's payroll with this Carey Price contract. So, well,
as you're setting up other things, maybe I'll take Phil Gray's magical phone number that he got from his younger sister. Actually, you can't even talk that way anymore.
No, he doesn't.
If you start talking about, hey, I saw this girl, because every man right now is. What's going on?
And remember, Phil Gray, 2 L's.
2 L's.
The second L stands for loser.
Boom.
I'm joking. He's great. I like him.
What's going on with people in this world, especially,
Phil Gray won, by the way, on Twitter. Phil Gray won. # not a loser.
So more guys in trouble, I see, in the world of groping.
In the world of groping, oh no, it's
like Al Franken. Was Al Franken now? All of a sudden?
Franken, yeah, Al Franken. And you know what? Somebody took a picture of him groping.
Well, him,
the woman's. It's like
he thought he was doing a gag. I guess.
What are you, stupid?
I guess that's what he thought.
Yeah,
but this is the day and age where, don't do it.
No,
not gonna be appreciated, I don't think. So we will try the magic of Skype once again, as I see it spinning round and round. The magic. Roast beef, just come over here and do this then. I have no idea why this never works for me.
You want me to take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Let's just try that. Keep refreshing and looking at it. And
okay.
Goddamn Skype.
So you got the number already, right?
Yeah.
You don't need that again, right? Okay. By the way, last night, if you missed it, the Toronto Maple Leafs victorious. It was 1-0 in overtime. William Nylander, the overtime winner, so they get by. Next up, Montreal on Saturday night. Elsewhere around the league, Winnipeg 3-2 winners over the Philadelphia Flyers. If you missed it, Mark Scheifele scores under a minute in the third period left in the hockey game, ties it up, sends it to overtime. They beat the Flyers 3-2. Elsewhere, the Islanders 6-4 winners over Carolina. It was Arizona upsetting Montreal 5-4. Phil Gray could talk about that. Montreal in serious trouble. Pittsburgh 3-1 over Ottawa. It was Tampa 6-1 over Dallas. Tampa continues to be the best team in the National Hockey League. And, man, the odds-on favorite right now to win a Stanley Cup. It was Minnesota 6-4 over Nashville, Colorado 6-2 over Washington, St. Louis 4-1 over Edmonton.
There is Phil Gray, the senior lines manager.
Senior.
Yeah. And we've been talking very highly of your family here today, just so you know, Phil.
Yeah, I was taking a listen. I've had a couple of minutes off this morning. You guys are too kind.
Yeah.
You know. Actually, I've played golf with Steve Rapp a couple of times, and he's usually straight off the tee. But when he does kind of get a bender, do you know what he yells?
What?
399.
Is that what he yells?
What did he say? I missed that. What did he say?
399.
399. That's
any action is good action.
Any actions? Yeah, I was gonna say. I did see that.
And Rapp is listening right now. Phil?
No, he's. But I'll tell you what. He killed last week.
He did.
He did. He killed last week. So
absolutely.
So
he's building me a little cabana out by his pool and his new Tiger Woods pad out there in
love it
in Ottawa where he is. So I can't wait to get out there. What a great guy.
Yeah, I'd be careful, Phil, this day of guys offering you swim parties and cabana rooms, because I got to be honest.
You've seen Steve, right?
He could be next on that. Him and Harvey could be next on that list. Yeah, don't do it.
And if you do get Sashi in there, I'm actually coming to town, man. I'm jumping on that porter, and I'm there.
Yeah, that is good. Now, by the way, because you were calling, we're calling the Montreal and area. So this morning in Habville, it's got to be Sadville. This cannot be good in Montreal.
Oh man, you guys are talking about trading Carey Price. Are you kidding? You're not from here. That would be the forum would burn. It would be Rocket Richard and Clarence Campbell all over. If they moved Carey Price right now at this time, even this season, the populace here would have none of it. I mean, it was a huge thing with the PK Subban trade, but boy, It is kind of fun to watch because, I'm from Toronto. I'm an Leaf fan, so they're kind of acting like Leaf fans now, and it's great to watch them squirm.
Now, speaking of squirming, I'm looking at some of these lines. You talked about it being a little messy this Sunday. There's a lot of Sundays, quite honestly, that I'm taking a look at what goes on in the NFL, and it is certainly not easy. But there's a couple of premier games that I think that I'm really looking forward to, and maybe the first one for me is Minnesota and the Los Angeles Rams. It's a 1 o'clock start. But I got to be honest, I'm looking at the total at 46. And to me, Phil, it just looks low. It looks low to me.
Well, that's one of the games where, you're talking to minutes. The Ram game, for sure. And that's one of the games, where they're coming in on the dog, right? I mean, that's kind of been, the trend this year. We're seeing, I've got 5 games on the board this year where they're coming in on the dog, and they're all over the Rams. I mean, that total it opened at 46, and it's rock solid at 46. Maybe your first half, 23 over minus 115 would be a good bet to go under there, but it's rock solid. But I expect that game could maybe even get down to pick by kickoff.
Wow, that's interesting. Hey, Phil, that Sunday night, where's the money going right now? I have an idea, but let's get it from you because Philadelphia opened at -3 about 3 or 4 days ago.
Absolutely, and I'm -5, minus 115 right now. I just went there in the last half hour, and on the money line as well. That's going to be one of the few games this weekend that's going to be a real concern. I mean, that's moved a full 1.5. But again, we've seen it time and again this year. I mean, these early moves against the late moves, that could come back down to a field goal by kickoff. I could see a ton of Dallas money coming Sunday night.
Well, there's a couple of games that I'm just avoiding. I'm not watching them. I'm certainly not betting on them. When I take a look at Tampa Bay, Miami, the total right now 41.5, and Honestly, who's touching that? I have no idea, except maybe even the state of Florida. If they played that game in someone's backyard, they'd close the drapes. I don't know how pretty this game's going to be, but I'm not interested.
It's going to be flag football. Yeah, that total dropped a full 2 points. It's down a pick. It'll probably be one of our lower handle games of the week for sure, but I am seeing that is one of the dog games right now that kind of concerned for me, that we are seeing a ton of Tampa Bay money. Smoking Jay Cutler, is he playing? I don't know. We'll see.
Phil, the announcement of the Buffalo Bills switching up their quarterback at this game in Los Angeles, how did it react betting wise when bettors heard that Nathan Peterman was going to be the Bills' new quarterback come Sunday?
We've jumped a full 1.5. We were talking yesterday when Mike tweeted me. I went to 4.5. I've gone to 5 now on some serious. There's a couple of guys that bet with us that I kind of respect. So they're all over the Chargers. They were all over that at 3.5 and 4 and 4.5. So I've gone to 5. Kind of a dead number, but that's another game I could see maybe even getting onto a key number of 6 by kickoff.
Well, we once again talk about certain numbers, and we know in football the numbers you don't want to cross. So when you take a look at New England, Oakland, neutral game site in the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, 7.5 is just begging you to take the dog. I would think that there would be some action on the Raiders at once it crosses that line into the 7.5 category. You're looking at like a 9 or a 10 for New England, and again, I would think even publicly, New England's obviously a public team, but there's got to be some favoritism, I think, for Oakland in this game.
That's an awesome venue, isn't it? I mean, I remember watching the game last year. It's kind of incredible. But no, I mean, that game, look at that. It's already crossed 6 and 7. And that's kind of been the trend this year with some of the key numbers. There really hasn't been, I wouldn't say for lack of a better word, respect for some of the key numbers. We're moving off them more than we ever have because there's just some lopsided action. And right now, there's 90% of my tickets and 90% of my money are on New England. That's why I've gone to 7.5. I believe I am the only book on the internet right now at 7.5. No, 5 guys has 7.5, but they're juicing it heavily, and I'm not juicing it. So George Russick, I'm not cheating.
Yeah, no, you are not cheating ever. But you know what? On this show, it's okay with us.
Yeah, we're full on cheating on everything in every aspect of life. Full on.
Hey, Phil.
Love you guys, man.
Let's look at some Mike's movers right now as far as what games you see kind of moving by Sunday, and maybe there's some value to some of our listeners out there right now that are logging on to sportsinteraction.com and saying, you know what, this number, there's a possibility that it could go here. What would we be looking at when we're talking about Mike's movers?
Actually, you know what, David? I'm prepared for you this week because I'm back in the saddle again, baby. And we're going to look at some. Let's look at some NBA totals for tonight. I have some sharp moves. Some sharp moves for all your listeners that they can jump on. And the totals in NBA are for the books. I mean, I shouldn't tell us. I'm putting my job in jeopardy again. They're tough. They're tough for us because we got some people that get on the right side of them. So I'm going to give your listeners the right side. Look at the Detroit Indiana game tonight. It's at 210. I expect that to probably move a full point. Miami and Washington, it's at 207.5. I would expect that's probably going to get to 208.5. So anybody that wants to bet the overs, you get these now. Your Raptors, 216. That should probably get to 217, maybe even 218 by tip off. And Oklahoma City, San Antonio, 198. That I would expect that's going to move probably a full point and a 1.5. And I'm going to give you one under. We had some sharp action on Minnie and Dallas. It came in at 212.5 and under, so I would expect that could move down a full point as well.
Well, the one thing with the Mavericks is they're not big on scoring, and that helps that. And of course, when you take a look at Minnesota, who I fully expect to see in the playoffs, they have held 2 or 3 teams under 100 points the last 3 games. So, or at least 2 going into the third game, trying to keep teams under 100. So you're right. If I'm looking for an under, that's probably got some severe value.
We're right in the middle of college basketball season, which I can't wait for it to end in February. So we'll keep giving you some totals, some college totals as well next time I'm on.
Don't worry, you need college basketball. You're in the right place. You come to me. In fact, I even started. People are like, college basketball? Is there college? Doesn't that start in March? No.
Oh, I just look at you, Mike, and you got NCAA men's written all over.
Love it. I can tell you every team in every weirdo division, schools that you're not sure if they exist or not. I can tell you because I play on it. I'm always excited for college ball, and it is underway. And a couple of nights ago, they had, of the top, 7 teams in the nation, they were all playing each other, which almost never happens in non-conference. So I'll be looking forward to that. And, of course, on Sports Interaction, you will have a ton of college ball leading all the way up right to March Madness.
24/7.
Yeah.
So this is our witching season. Right now from till the end of Super Bowl and right into March Madness this is our high volume season. So if you're looking for me, you know where I am.
We know where to find you. Let's put it that way. Hey, Phil, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Always a pleasure. Have yourself a great weekend. I know you'll be busy with the boys across the country, and then we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, guys. See you again.
That is Phil Gray. He is the senior lines manager for Sports Interaction. You just talked about some of the value you can see. Again, we talk about most sports. We've got Victor's picks, my sexy gold, Dave's foreplay, Russell's happy endings. Did you see Scotty Morrison yesterday when I started talking about all the names for the various segments? I said, "Yeah, that's right, Scotty. That's the show you're on." Sorry,
That's true. Yeah.
In this day and age, we got to. The whole show's going to be accused of stuff.
Scott was like, "Is there a way out of this window?"
I don't want to. No, buy the book. The book has nothing to do with those things. Nothing of those 100 moments in the NHL. None of them had to do with any of the things you talked about. Although you could do 100 moments of those kinds of things when it comes to the NHL. You absolutely could have those kinds of moments. I mean, thank God back in the day for all those hockey players, there weren't cameras on the phones. Think about it.
Yeah, that's a big.
Even JFK.
No. Oh.
Yeah, thank God some of those broads didn't have cameras and phones. But look, we're going to get to some of those picks. Is there anything else we want to cover before that? I don't think so. I think people are just ready to roll.
I don't know. I think we're good.
Right onto it. So what do we start with? Russell, what is the best way to move through this? Because we've got, because Victor generally is we doing Victor last?
It's up to you. Do you want to do him?
Yeah, because he's not here yet. So
okay.
So let's take a look and we'll start with. Wow, is that ever small to see? I just want to make sure I get this right.
Okay.
Holy crap-a-noli. Hope I can read this. All right. So why don't we start with the always exciting, the most amazing, you got it, sexy picks of the Gold Sex.
And now it's time for Mike Richards' sexy picks of Gold Sex.
I love gold.
Brought to you by Sports Interaction, Canada's online sports book.
Yeah, Barbie Benton. So good. Yeah, you love it. Okay, we're back, and now it's time for your picks. I'm starting with college football, as I like this weekend, and some of these games, very important. I think Victor actually is going to have some of the truly big games. I go for the ones where I think it's easy to win. Okay. They're called cupcake games, and I think anytime I see Arkansas on the schedule, I'm going for it. Mississippi State, minus 12.5 on the road. I don't see a problem with that. I think they would probably cover the actual line. I think is minus 13. I'm taking Mississippi State at the awful Razorbacks. Remember when they were good? Yeah. That's a long time ago. Southern Miss, they're my go-to. That's my default team. And when I see UC Charlotte on there, minus 16.5, no problem. Take minus 16 at home for Southern Miss. Washington, that is the Wiz. I'm taking some NBA. It is Miami at Washington, minus 4.5 for the home team. It's a home and home. They beat them in Miami. They'll beat them again in Washington. Also taking a look at Minnesota. We talked about Minnesota at Dallas, the Mavericks. I'm loving Minnesota. I think this team is really good. Minus, what do I got, 6.5? It pays 183. I'm loving that. Now taking a look at
it's jumped to 7 too now.
It's jumped
but
for sure.
You got it at 6.5.
Got it in early. The over on the Rams in Minnesota, 46 points, Dave. I don't understand that. I mean, look, some of these defenses can score. So I don't see necessarily if this game would be
Rams and Vikings both have very good defense.
Yeah,
maybe that's why that number is.
And it's low, but I just think can they score at least 3 touchdowns on each other? I think they can, and if one team sort of gets away with it a little bit, I see this game going over. So I'm taking the over. I think it's full value. And finally, I'm going to end with the Premiership. Manchester United, very strong at home, playing, I can't even see it now.
Another team?
Newcastle. Oh, Newcastle.
No.
Yeah, well, I get Newcastle just back up from relegation. They play very well, but I don't see. In fact, I don't think Newcastle scores. They might even park the bus. So -1.5. The Asian handicap. All those, by the way, that is basically 40 times your money.
Yeah.
How about that?
Do it.
That's what you do there.
Do it.
And if that's not enough, maybe it's time for a little Friday foreplay. You know what I'm talking about. Here it comes. It's lovely.
It's Friday, and you know what that means. A little full play with Dave Bastel. He gonna give you some full play you won't forget. Brought to you by Sports Interaction Canada's online sports book. Give it something to me, big sexy.
Yeah.
All
Big
right.
sexy.
I will. Let's take 3 dogs, 1 favorite in this one. First off, Detroit at Chicago. I don't really trust the Lions as a favorite anywhere. I think they're going to win this game, but there's a hook on this. You're getting the Bears plus 3.5. The half is the key point because I think this is a field goal game. I think the Lions win, but you will win on the Bears bet. The Green Bay Packers are home to the Baltimore Ravens. Green Bay is getting points to a team that does not play well on the road. The Ravens are coming off a bye week. I don't think that makes a difference to me. Green Bay coming off a big win against Chicago with a lot of people, including myself, thought, you know what, Chicago's going to win this game. No, Green Bay actually went to Chicago and laid a little bit of a licking on the Bears, which kind of surprised me. But they come home, they rejuvenate, and they play a Ravens team that really isn't interested this year. Just watch some of their outings. It's been terrible outside of the first 2 games of the season. Washington plus 8 points in New Orleans. I think if you're looking at totals, this could be an over as well because you got 2 high-flying offenses and defense. Even though people think the Saints' defense is good, I think it's adequate at best. Kirk Cousins will match up with Drew Brees. This will be a track meet. Keep it close. Take Washington plus the 8 points. Finally, Arizona. A team that never travels well. It's not that far away. It's in Houston. I don't think Arizona can win in Houston because I don't think Arizona is a very good team. I'm not really confident backing Houston and thinking, yeah, this is my 5-star selection. But I actually like Houston to win this game outright. You got to give away a point. That's not much. Houston Texans win at home. That's my foreplay.
Wow. You're right. There's some teams that you're trying to trust out there that you really maybe don't want to.
There's a lot of teams.
Yeah, that's a big category. Okay, so, all right. I think, is this what we're doing right now? Okay, hold on. Because I see the limousine pulling up, Dave.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and
Let me
that
just
is
take a look
good.
to see if he's... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there
Miguel
you
is
go.
actually opening the door.
Oh,
yeah, and he
Miguel.
is walking
How
into
old
the
is
building
Miguel?
right
He's been doing that job a long
now.
time.
79. A couple of years younger than old Stephen Rapp.
Yeah.
Actually, Stephen Rapp and Miguel know each other. I don't know if you knew that. But let's ask our next guest. Joining us here on a Friday, usually he's in on Thursday, is Victor Newman, his Passionate Picks. Victor, good morning.
Well, let me say something to you right now. You're a damn handsome boy.
Thank you, sir. Gotta feel like I know where this is going.
It's always important in life when you are raised with good genes, where genetics are a big part of what happens there.
That's true.
I want you to say hello to your mother for me. All right?
Yeah, I will. She's in town, actually.
I know that. All right, let's get to the damn passionate picks because they're good ones, all right? It's a huge game, Michigan and Wisconsin. If Wisconsin wants to go to the damn playoffs, then you're going to have to beat the Wolverines. And guess what? That's what the hell they're going to do. -6.5 is the number I have. It's a Victor Newman number. Go to Sports Interaction. After all, I own the damn company. All I have to do is fire that damn Stephen Rapp. Keeps asking me to come over to his house, to the cabana, for a rub.
He does, eh?
He's seen my legs. They're very strong. I will not do that, all right? Let's get to Mississippi State.
I heard Mike Richards talking about it. I very rarely agree with that man. He's a damn imbecile. But at minus 12.5, that is damn good. I also like Southern Miss. You know, I am very popular in the southern states.
And why's that?
I don't know. Let's talk about West Virginia. It's a huge game as well. They've got to play Texas. If they have some hopes, they got to win it. And at minus 2.5, I like West Virginia. Also, Utah State, minus 10.5 at home to Hawaii. I have a ranch in Hawaii. Did you know that?
I did not know that. No.
I have orgies with shag rugs and pipe smoking. But that's not for you. That is for me. I'm Victor Newman. You got that? And finally, I also like that basketball game Richards was talking about, minus 4.5. Washington Wizards. And Russell, it's not the kind of Wizards that you dress up like when you go home with your friends. Just concentrate on what you're doing, all right? And those are Victor Newman's passionate picks.
Victor Newman's passionate picks exclusively to rawmikerichards.com, usually on a Thursday, but here he is right before the weekend.
Oh, yeah. There was some crossover, I thought, between some of those picks. Wonder why that happened.
No idea.
It's not right now. Russell, do we have? Where's your sensuous music? Oh, we'll use some of this. So we're gonna do your happy endings. Are you coming? Or is it the Russ? No, you can do the Russ Cam now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Russ Cam it is.
All right. So let's. And now it's time for Russell Graham's happy endings.
All right, we only got 2 games in the NHL on tonight. There was only lines open for one of them, so 3 bets on the one game between Columbus and the New York Rangers. That's who it was.
Are you secretly hacking Phil Gray right now by saying there was only one game with lines on them and you kind of wanted them all? Is that what you're trying to say?
That's why it's a happy ending.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Sure.
Okay. Tough but fair.
So taking Columbus, hammering Columbus on all these. So outright winner, taking the Blue Jackets. That pays a 171.
Yep.
The alternate puck line, Columbus minus 2.5, and that pays a 4.5.
Whoa.
And then with that minus 2.5, taking Columbus in regulation, and that pays a 210.
So just pounding away on Columbus.
This guy loves him some Columbus.
Yeah.
Sergei Bobrovsky's been on his game recently, and
That's a strange goalie, I think. Because he went through a period of time where everyone was talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, could you get off our property, please? I'm playing goal for you. I play good. No, you're not playing that good.
Vezina Trophy winner
Yeah.
2 times.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
The Flyers dump him. He goes to Columbus and he wins 2 Vezina Trophies. And in between those Vezina Trophies, a really crappy season.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
like
who does that?
Like Fred Anderson. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Uh-oh. But seriously, he's like one of these guys. Okay, so when you have a conversation, you're getting into a hockey conversation. And maybe it's a little tougher this year. Maybe it's a little more difficult. Maybe it's a little more convoluted this year. But if you get into who's the best goalie in the league, your top 5, is Bobrovsky going to be in that conversation?
Yeah, he's in that conversation. Yeah.
But just you're saying that. You're just because generally I find
it's
over the last 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
it's like he's the forgotten guy.
A little bit of one, yeah, but just as of late, last year, very good. Everybody remembers that massive Columbus winning streak. The trophies that but he's not. I think he's hidden a little bit in Columbus.
Well,
because
that's true too because you're not watching Columbus. You're not.
If Sergei Bobrovsky is back with the Flyers and doing this, or maybe one of the New York teams, or you're hearing how great this Russian goaltender is, but he's buried in Columbus on a nice team, but a team that really doesn't get a lot of publicity.
There are some goalies that are at that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm necessarily in twilight, but you can see that there are days, and maybe the better days have already existed. So if I'm talking Pekka Rinne, better days behind him.
That's tough. I think he's right smack dead in the
middle.
middle.
On that line, right?
He's on that line. Like if you're looking at it, I think that window is open for the next year or two, and then after that, there's going to be a.
What about Carey Price? Because that's tough too. Because he also was trapped a little bit by circumstance on the team that he plays for.
Yes, a big time circumstance. I think his best days are still there. I think that window is wider, much wider than a Pekka Rinne. But yeah, when you have crap in front of you, you're going to pay the ultimate price statistically, right?
Holtby.
Best days are still ahead of him. Best days.
I think so too.
I think he's a good goaltender. I think he's one of these guys that he's going to be a Vezina candidate probably year in year out, or at least flirting with all-starness, and on a Washington team that seems to do really well in the regular season, but just can't make that step yet. I don't think they're going to do it this year either, but definitely in that conversation.
King Henrik.
Best days are gone, unfortunately, because I like the guy.
Yeah.
I think the guy's great.
Oh, yes.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. You're watching a Hall of Fame goaltender in the Ranger net, and he seems like a pretty cool dude. So I'm unfortunately saying the best days are over, and there will be a changing of the guard. And it's not Andrei Pavlik, by the way, who backs him up. It's they need to nurture a new goaltender, a young goaltender, perhaps within the system, or maybe they just haven't drafted him yet.
What about Tuukka Rask? We not even a conversation anymore? Because he's not that old.
No, he's not. He's not that old. I think he's kind of floating in no man's land right now. Is he going to drop like for good, or is he going to get back up to where he's potentially going to be mentioned in the top 10 goaltenders? Because right now, for my money, Tuukka Rask is not a top 10 goaltender.
Roast beef? We had a little goalie talk. Do you agree with what we said mostly, or do you have someone else that you are you putting Frederick in there?
No, just the way he started this season, I'm not putting them up there yet. Needs to be, I think, more consistent over a long period of time to get those accolades. I do think he's a good goalie that now starting.
He's playing. Look,
like
all kidding aside, he's played really well the last 2 weeks. He has played the way that his coach expected him to play. I think that's how I would put it.
Yeah, and I think if he continues to play this way and builds this consistency, then you can put him in those ranks. But these guys, like you said, like Rinne and Lundqvist and Holtby, they've put in the work over the few seasons to deserve those accolades. And agreement in Tuukka Rask. I said before this season to a few of my friends, I don't think he's as good as he used to be, and it's... Oh, my! And...
oh, George Takei.
So far, it's showing.
You watch your hands with George Takei, too.
He has the slippery fingers.
Yeah, well, we said, like he wasn't doing stuff on Star Trek. Well, he apparently was.
Live long and prosper. I don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
Maybe I could check your phaser, Captain.
Yeah. No, thank you. By the way, we'll have a busy show again next week because, as my son will notice, not quite the full hour today.
I think we like it like that.
Yeah.
I think from now on we're doing it on purpose.
Yeah. Now we're doing it, yeah.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep. It's
time! Like to thank Senior Lines Manager from Sports Interaction, Phil Gray, on the show today. The boys do a great job. And as you know, you work with them this weekend on Sunday.
That's right, 10 o'clock.
Across the entire network, right?
That's right. Sportsnet 590 The Fan, and yeah, any Sportsnet radio station.
Looking forward to that.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Coming up next week, we got a bunch of people, including my good friend Bruce Dobigan, going to be in.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
yes.
going to come in on Tuesday. Who else do we have?
Right now, we're confirming a time with Kelly Rudy, and more than likely, if it's not Clark Judge, we might have another football insider, but you'll have to wait.
Yeah, have yourself a great weekend. We'll see you on the other side.